Hello, I'm Sarah. This is Hardcover Hearts, and I'm back with a week of reading wrap-up where I talk about the books that I read, what I'm currently reading, and planning to read should time permit. So I have had a fantastic reading week, and let's jump right into it. The first one that I'm reading is one of the Author Spotlight series that I'm currently running, and this is a Molly Keane book, the second one we're reading, and I'm so happy to say it is so much better than Devoted Ladies. I would actually say this is right up there with some of her best. This is The Rising Tide, as I mentioned, by Molly Keane. This is a Virago Modern Press edition. Whereas Devoted Ladies was a biting satire, really sharp, catty, really difficult to read, this feels much more mature. This is a step forward in her style. This is set in a Gothic mansion in Ireland in the Jazz Age. And we have a family that we're looking at, and with an omniscient narrator. And this family is led with an iron fist by Lady Charlotte. Lady Charlotte has exacting expectations of what everyone should be doing and how they should be living their lives, including Diane, who is one of the characters that we follow most closely, and I think has most of the sympathies of the author. Diane is a little bit different, and there's an undercurrent of maybe lesbianism. Maybe she is a lesbian, but just is unable to come out or express it. We do know that she has a crush, and this person that she has a crush on is her brother Gerald's new fiance that he brings home to introduce to the family. And this Cynthia is shiny and wonderful and lovely and makes a point to spend time with every single person in this family and win them over. And she can do it with everyone but Lady Charlotte. Lady Charlotte sees through her, sees kind of the ray of adoration moving from her to the young generation, and she's not having any of it. So that begins this tug of war between Cynthia and Lady Charlotte. Diane ends up taking sides and moving in with Gerald and Diane, and that has ripple implications through the family. And we see this battle actually playing through the next generation with her children, Simon and Susan, and Simon is meant to take over the manor house that we meet when we first arrive on the scene. This has themes of jealousy, control. There's a lot of rebellion here. There's a lot of surprising sexual freedom here. Undercurrents and nods to gay characters, which I'm learning that Molly Keane definitely purposely puts in her books, and I will say it's much more successful here than it was in Devoted Ladies. So this is a more controlled, more compelling novel. If you love books in the Gothic realm and love those kind of undercurrents, you might really enjoy this one by Molly Keane. Then in audio, I decided to pick up this book because I've heard so many great things about it. This is Maggie Smith's reading of her own memoir, You Could Make This Place Beautiful. This is, as I said, read by her. And what I find is yes, it's the story of her picking up the pieces after a betrayal and divorce, but it's also done with this Ohio common sense, this Ohio nature, which is just very Midwestern. I come from Ohio, my family's from Ohio, and there is something that's just very straightforward, very practical, very level-headed about Ohio people. And so it definitely comes through in how she's wrestling and trying to understand the moving feelings that she has as she's going through this process. And it starts when she unwittingly sees something that indicates to her that her husband is having an affair. So then she knows that this is happening. She knows that this is going on, but she's waiting for her husband to tell her what's going on. And so it tees up this interesting moment of how does somebody who considers herself honest and kind and thoughtful and a good wife reconcile herself with the fact that she snooped and she knows something, and she's watching, sitting passively watching her husband betray her. And then it goes back and we get to see the marriage as it was, the relationship as it was, all of the things along the way. And what I think is most interesting and compelling about this is that she's able to shift her perspective and acknowledge things that she felt early in this breakup being not true later in the breakup, or things that she started to feel very strongly that dissipated and changed and morphed. And so it becomes this very fluid exploration of her reactions and how she's trying to navigate this. What is most interesting, I think, as well, is that her marriage started to disintegrate at the same moment that her poetry was on the rise. And she had a meteoric rise after I think it was the George Floyd protests. She wrote a piece that got picked up and was being spread and read by very prominent people. And that really changed her trajectory for her career and what it meant for her artistry, and with repercussions that she never saw coming for her marriage. So it was, I think it was lovely. I think listening to it was also lovely. So yeah, if you like memoirs, this was a very interesting one to take on. The next book that I want to talk about, I also did this in audio, and this is an author that I don't see often here. She's an older author. It's from the last century, and she's very niche. Her name is Helen MacInnes, and she writes spy thrillers. So a woman writing spy thrillers in the Cold War years is very interesting already. But what the extra thing that she does is she puts them in interesting places in Europe. And so you're almost getting this travel log at the same time that you're getting this mystery thriller in Cold War years. So she's very cloak and dagger thriller. She also adds a little bit of romance and softens it a little bit. I just find her entirely entertaining. Although dated, let's be clear, this is the Cold War. They're going to get some things that would not happen and would not sit well with modern writers. But in this case, it is The Venetian Affair is the book that I read. And it starts off with a bang. We have this gentleman from America, his name's Fenner, and he is arriving in Paris, and he's kind of at a crossroads with his career. He used to be an investigative journalist, and he's kind of let that go, and he now is a critic and a reviewer of theater. And so he's shown up in Paris to do some reviews of some plays, and he also has some trips planned so that he could do some writing on a book that he's planning. So it's all very, cultural and relaxed. And he shows up in Paris, and they're disembarking, and there's an actual elevated request for a group of people to be searched more thoroughly. And a man that's with them, not with him, but on the plane, gets very frazzled and gets very, very ill. And this is creating this kind of stir, and everyone's like, is he okay? What's happening? Is he having a heart attack? Meanwhile, Fenner goes through the additional security, gets out the other side, and as he's exiting, he sees somebody that he knows, which he wasn't expecting. And the guy is excited to see him, takes him under his wing, and says, "Oh, let me take you to a place that's even cheaper, better than where you were staying. I'll help you cancel your other reservation. Come on with me, I'll give you a ride." So he's very happy to meet somebody and to go with him. So he jumps in the cab and takes off with his friend. His friend is with the embassy, and they know each other from his ex-wife and some other people from their past in New York. And so it's a nice reunion. They get to the hotel and he begs off drinks and everything. He just wants to unpack, unwind a little bit, and then go get some food. So they say goodbye. He unpacks his things, and as he does so, he recognizes that that is not his trench coat. It looks very, very similar, but it's not his. And he opens it up, and there's this thread that looks like it's kind of dangling there. And he goes to pull it, and it's a hidden compartment with a ton of money in an envelope, like a ridiculous amount for this time. And this is a 1962 spy thriller. So I think there was like $10,000 in cash, and even he knew that this was not right. So he's a good guy. He's completely unwitting. He doesn't know what he's in for, but he knows this isn't right, and he immediately contacts the American authorities. He doesn't contact the Parisians, because I think he also recognizes that he should be protected a little bit in this. And someone comes over and they immediately takes this on. And from there, we get this spy thriller that just kind of goes in all sorts of different directions with different characters, including a woman that he keeps seeing around town. It was fun. It was, they moved from Paris to Venice. The scenes in both cities were just lovely. So if you want a palate cleanser, if you like travel, if you like those old mysteries and thrillers, I think you might want to give this a try. Like I said, I like her work, and they're all standalones. There's no overarching narrative that connects everything. So you can just read one or the other and then move on. It's great. Next up is a last book that I read for this week. And this was, I had so many high hopes for this. This was a book that I think was on the International Booker Prize list. This was long listed. And I loved the cover. This is Reservoir Bitches by Dahlia de la Cerda, translated by Heather Cleary and Julia Sanches. And just look at how fun that cover is. It's cheeky, it's irreverent, it's bold. Unfortunately, I didn't love this. It's interconnected short stories set in Mexico, and it just feels very... one tone. I wouldn't say one note, because there's all these different women and women's lives, but these women's lives tend to be spoken about, and the language and the tone and the voice are all so similar. It was very hard to differentiate between characters. And so for me, it was challenging to really understand which character was what, and the stories were very short. I appreciate the ambition. I appreciate telling these women's stories. I just didn't feel there was enough to make each story stand separate from the others and be identified as a different character. It could be because of the age of most of these characters. They were all young women. That could be it. But for me, I couldn't differentiate. And so that could be a me problem. I would love to know if you've read this and what your thoughts were. Oh, I hate giving it back because I love this cover, but space is at a premium, as you can see. Okay, let's talk about what I'm currently reading. The first thing I'm doing from my libraries, I'm reading The Original by Nell Stevens. And it has already blown my mind. The first paragraph was a corker. It just, from the get-go, really pulled me in. So I'm enjoying that one very much. Also, halfway through Good Behaviour by Molly Keane. This is the third that we're reading. This one was up for a Booker Award and also has probably one of the more interesting, intense first chapters of a book, and really completely changed what I was expecting to read. It's shocking and intense and and a little frightening, really, really good. This is a fantastic book so far. I'm sure I'll be able to talk more about this next week. Then on audio, I got the next of the Anthony Horowitz series. This is Marble Hall Murders. I'm enjoying it tremendously. I like how he writes puzzles in puzzles and books in books. So this is also very fun. This is the Atticus Pund series. I'm not even sure if that's what they call it. I'll put it in the notes below. And then I'm eyeing this book. Last week I walked into a used bookstore locally and saw this on the rack and thought, wait a minute, it's not even supposed to be out yet in the United States. I walked away, I did a quick Google search because I wanted to make sure I wasn't buying the wrong book. And sure enough, it wasn't supposed to be. It's supposed to be releasing this week, but it got put out in error early. I'm here for it. I grabbed it with my credit because I'm not right now buying any new books, and so excited to read this. This is Amor McBride's The City Changes Its Face. And this is the follow-up to The Lesser Bohemians, which I loved. So very curious to see if this one can hold the magic that Lesser Bohemians held. So stay tuned. Hopefully I'll be starting this week. And then also is Shorty September, which I love the fact that Women in Translation Month is in August. Then we move into Shorty September because I can pull some of those books that I didn't get a chance to read into Shorty September. And I have a whole host of books that I'm looking at. So stay tuned and hopefully I'll have a lot to talk about. That's it for me for now. I hope you had a great week of reading and I'll look forward to talking to you again soon. Bye-bye.